true. Nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am. I heard all things in heaven and in the earth, and I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. First of all, I loved the old man, and he had never wronged me. For his gold I had no desire, and I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and thus I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and thus rid myself of the eye forever. He would have been very profound indeed to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. The water's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph, and I fairly chuckled at the idea that perhaps he heard me, for he moved so suddenly in the bed, as if startled. Now you may think I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch with the thick darkness, and so I knew he couldn't see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on. Steadily, steadily. Who's there? For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I didn't hear him lie down. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney," or "It's only a mouse crossing the floor," or "It's merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Now I say, there came a sound to my ears, dull, quick, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton, and I knew the sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart, and it increased my fury. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, louder every moment, and now, at the dead hour of night, amid the dreadful silence of that house, so strange, this excited me to an uncontrollable terror. Yet for minutes longer I refrained and stood still, but the beating grew louder, louder. I thought the heart must burst, and a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leapt into the room. In an instant, I had thrown him to the floor and began strangling him with a pillow. For many minutes, his heart still beat on with a muffled sound. This did not vex me. It could not be heard through the wall. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there for many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head, and the arms, and the legs. Then I took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then went and replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected a thing wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatever. I had been too wary for that. A tub caught it all. When I made an end of these labors, it was about 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went to open it with a light heart. There entered a man who introduced himself as an officer of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused, information had been lodged at the police office, and he had been deputied to search the premises. I smiled, for what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man, I mentioned, was absent in the country. I took my visit all over the house. I bade him search well, and I led him at length to his chamber. I showed him all the treasures secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired him to rest from his fatigue, while I myself, in the audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot which I reposed the corpse of the victim. The officer was satisfied. My manner had convinced him. He sat while I answered cheerily, and we chatted of familiar things. I felt myself getting pale and wished him gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears, and he still sat there and chatted. The ringing became more distinct, and it continued to become more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued to gain definiteness until at length I found the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I grew pale, and I talked more fluently with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, quick sound, much as the sound a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and the officer heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key with motions, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with steady strides, and I excited with fury the observations of the men, but the noise steadily increased. Oh, God, what could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon where I had been sitting. I grated it upon the boards, and the noise arose and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and the man still chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possibly they heard not? Almighty God, no, they heard, they suspected, they knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This, I thought, I think. But then, anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear this hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt I must scream or die. And now again, hark, louder, louder, louder. Villains, I admit deed. Tear up the planks. Here is the beating of his hideous heart.